What's going on, guys? This is Buildings here, and I just wanted to make this quick little video on how I use the design.uma or Umamusume blueprint to plan out my legacies for champions meetings. So what this isn't a guide on parenting. There have been plenty of guides made, especially now with independent training out. I believe Ray and Lightburb have both made very incredible guides. You should want to check those out. This video will assume you have a baseline understanding on looping and most parent things. But what this is in front of us is design.u-ma.org or design.uma. And what it is it's a website that lets you keep track of like a whole blueprint for your family legacy for any particular UMA. And what's really nice about this is that it lets you plan your aptitudes for every UMA down the lineage, from your parents all the way down to your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and your great-great-grandparents. So, why it is important. So, when you are keeping track of your affinities and your legacies, you want to be able to run as many G1s as you can, and not every UMA that you could possibly want, for a unique inherit for a parent or grandparent is capable of running those G1s. So what this tool lets you do is it lets you plan your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents so you can see what exactly you need to make sure that your grandparents and your parents can hit those G1 dirt races or, out of aptitude races. It'll be much easier to show you guys an example. So what we're going to do is we're going to make one of my CM18 aces, and we're going to go through the thought process on how I plan the lineage and what exactly I need to do. So CM18 is on Hanshin 1600, and that has a very sick downhill the acceleration zone, so I would want to run Camping Dober. And so let's go down the line. What does Camping Dober need? Oh, and the site comes in Japanese, so you might want to hit that translate button. Doesn't really help with the broken English, but kind of gets you there. So, what does Camping Dober need? What I would want to run on Camping Dober would be, let's say, a Mejiro Ryan parent and an Ogre Cap. And CM18, sorry, is a mile CM. So we want to be looking for mile aptitudes and turf aptitudes, if we can help it. For grandparents, I'll pick some deliberately tough aptitudes to build for, just so that I can kind of drive the point home on what exactly we need to use this tool to its fullest. So let's get Nishino Flower for the budding blossom. Do Camping Taiki. Oh, there you go. Site's in Japanese, so it's not going to read everything perfectly. Do Special Week. And let's do okay, let's do Symboli Rudolph. Alright, so in order to get the most affinity possible on my Mejiro Dober, we need to get as many G1s as we can run across the parents and grandparents. The problem here is I've got Dirt G, Dirt G, Dirt G, Medium E, Dirt F, and Medium E. Oguri Cap is she will be here to make this easy. So what do we do here? So when you are looping for all your different white sparks that you're looking for, what I like to do is I like to just loop and loop and loop until I eventually collect enough different looped umas with all of the whites or most of the whites that I would possibly want. And then what I look for specifically are dirt and mile aptitudes. In the case of both Taiki Shuttle and Nishina Flower, we want mediums. But for the most part, a lot of umas can run medium, and mile is what they need to fix. But we can go through it here. So, what will I need to be able to get Mejiro Ryan to be able to run dirt races and spark mile, so that and get her mile up to A, so that she can spark mile and give my Dover more mile sparks. So what we'll do is we will go into the grandparent here, and what you'll want to do is you'll want to find umas that you own or plan to build umas that can help this. So what you can do here is you want dirt and dirt, and it will update in real time and let you kind of see, you know, exactly how you want to, you know, if you like overdo it, you know, let's say I have these umas, right? I have umas that are like, you know, dirt 2, dirt 3, dirt 2, dirt 2, and I plan to use those as great grandparents. You can see, you know, if these were used as the parents for these two umas, it will raise the ending dirt affinity for Mejiro Ryan here, D. You would need 10 total dirt sparks to raise the aptitude to the maximum amount. So Mejiro Ryan starts with dirt G, so 10 dirt sparks gets her to dirt C. And then you basically want to just follow this and kind of fill in the blanks all the way until you have all these at an acceptable, you know, acceptable level. So going down to the great grandparent level, what do we have? I have 5 dirt sparks here. So between these 4 slots, I need to get 5 more dirt sparks, and then we need to get mile sparks so that this Symbolic Rudolph can potentially spark mile A. So, you know, what would be the easiest? We can do a mile here, and a mile here, or a dirt here, and a dirt here. Or to make things easier, let's do a dirt here, and a mile here. So, do a mile 3. Oh, it won't matter. Okay. So, what do we need? We will need a combination of 3 umas that will lead up to... Oh, I know I did wrong. We will need a combination of these umas, you know, dirt 2, mile 2, dirt 2, or dirt 3, mile 2, in order to comfortably get Symbolic Rudolph running all the mile races, you know, get her aptitude from C to A, and get this dirt aptitude from G to C. So with the introduction of independent training, you no longer really need to get this dirt aptitude that high. When I first started doing this careful planning, dirt C was kind of like the minimum you would need to comfortably run races in Track Blazer. But with the new independent training function and auto parent, you can actually get away with lower aptitudes and still win races. You won't guarantee to win them every single time, but the frequency at which you win is enough that you can kind of rely on having something like dirt B. But obviously, the higher the better. So we want to kind of get this. We want mile A coming from C, and then dirt C. So now Symbolic Rudolph can run just about every G1, whether it's a mile, medium long, or turf or dirt. And then what we need to look for in our looped great-great-grandparents, we would want to look for or try to create a set of umas that have dirt 2 in the front, and mile 2 and dirt 2 in the back, and then again dirt 3 in the front, and then dirt 3 and mile 2 in the back. Now we don't need to, this is where borrows come in handy. We don't necessarily need to make all these ourselves. The mile 2 dirt 2s, these might be easier, but we can look for umas that have these sparks and use it as a borrow. Particularly anything that might be mile 3 or dirt 3 would be the easiest way to do it. Really depends on what you find to borrow. With auto parent now, like there's kind of been a whole gold rush of parents that are available on all the different research databases like Chronogenesis, uma.mo, and the availability of parents, grandparents, and borrows is like it's better now than it ever has been. So I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find something that can get you going with like the white skills that you need, or you could look to loop it yourself, depending on what your Uma pool is. And so what I like to do is I fill all of this out, and then I will like to kind of, as I'm making and as I'm looping different parents, as I get a combination that succeeds, I will plug it in here, and maybe I'll make a note of it. But let's do it for the rest of this. So again, because Special Week and Symbolic Rudolph are the exact same aptitudes, we can kind of just mirror this and use the same sets of great grandparents for both umas, right? So I can do mile 2 here, dirt here, dirt 3, then mile 2, and then for Taiki Shuttle. So because Ogre Recap is kind of all set, she doesn't really need anything. We can only have to consider great grandparents and great great grandparents, or Taiki Shuttle and Nishino Flower specifically instead. So, what will we do? So Taiki Shuttle, she's already fine as far as dirt is concerned. We don't need to worry about that. So we only really need to bring this medium up to speed. So that'll be very easy. You only need about 4 medium sparks to get her up. So realistically, because she's the grandparent, you can put these anywhere. So this makes it easy for you because you could just look for any combination of great grandparents or great great grandparents that you've looped. As long as you can muster up 4 total medium sparks across all of them, then you will be fine here. You've kind of gotten all the heavy lifting done out of the way. You don't really want to bring this up too high. Like you can load this up with medium sparks all the way through and end up bringing this aptitude up to A if you really wanted to. But it's really tricky because once you've done something like that, you've now given Taiki Shuttle the ability to spark medium when you're trying to spark mile, because this is for a mile CM. So when you're doing this, you kind of want to bring the aptitude enough to be able to run races, but not too high that you're accidentally sparking it. She has a long G, so if you really, really wanted to as well, you can maybe bring that long aptitude up, like to something like that. But because we have Nishino Flower as well, that has trouble running long races, there's only 2 long races in most schedules. It's the Tenosho Spring and the Urima Kinen. And then depending on if you run the Crown or the Tiara, it'll be the Kikka Show. But missing out on the 2 races for Affinity is like, it's not the biggest deal in the world if it means ease of building, right? And that's kind of what we want to do, is we want to make building these legacies as kind of easy and as simple as possible. So that's Taiki Shuttle done. We have medium C, dirt B. So let's move on to Nishino Flower. So what do we need here? So we have dirt F and medium E. We know medium E is easy because it's just a matter of 6 or 4 even total medium sparks. So we can do something like this. And then we just need dirt sparks, right? So we just fill in the rest with dirt. And then whatever you end up sparking, like sometimes you get a dirt 1, sometimes you get a dirt 3, you can fill in. And we can bring this up to dirt C. So now we have a set of parents and grandparents that can run almost all, if not most, of the G1s available to us to get the most affinity possible. And we have all of the great grandparents planned out so that we can run the, so that we can get these aptitudes up. So we would look through our pool of looped great grandparents and mix and match so that we can eventually build all of these legacies up. So let me show you an example of Let me show you guys an example of one of my CM17 plans. Go. Using the same concept. So for CM17, I ran Hishi Amazon, and then I needed to run. Here we go. And then I needed to run all of these parents and great grandparents and grandparents to get my aptitudes up. So what did I have? I had Hishi Amazon up front. I had Measure Orion, Measure Dober, and then I had a Baro Maruzensky, and then an Ogre Cap, and then a Symboli Rudolph. So, what did I do? I ended up getting. I messed up here. Finish it. Hold on. Remember the parents. Okay, so what I ended up getting was I had this set to Mile B and Dirt C only, so that way I could potentially spark medium or dirt. Trying to spark Dirt A on a grandparent that can only go up to Dirt C, it's a little tricky, but it is doable. If you're looping, you're going to have a lot of affinity across all the great grandparents. But you can spark Dirt A. Would I recommend it? Maybe not. Like, it'd be much simpler if this was just an Ogre Cap, but it was totally fine. I ended up getting Dirt B, or Dirt 2, and being able to pass it on to my Ryan. And then the Maruzenskis were a Baro that I found that had Dirt 3, and then the Ogre was an Ogre that I built I just needed to spark dirt on. And so what it gave me was, it gave me a Ryan that could run Mile B and Dirt C, use all the different dirt sparks and the 1 mile spark helping out, but it didn't push the mile up to A so that I'm not accidentally sparking it while making this parent. And then same thing on this side. I needed dirt sparks to get Mejiro Dober up to C, so that she could run all the different dirt races. We can look at the same for my recap. I did the same thing. I planned out all of the great grandparents so that I could spark medium. These didn't end up being medium 3s or medium 3s or medium 2s on my Symboli Rudolph, so that I can, but I got the aptitudes up to B and C so that I can run the races, but I'm not accidentally sparking, the mile or the dirt. Again, there's a chance that you can still get it because the affinities are so high, even with only 3 mile sparks, that I might still turn this into from a 1 in 5 to a 1 in 7, but that's kind of what you have to do. And then same thing with the New Year Opera O's. I got the aptitudes up with my great grandparents to get this up to B, C, B and C, and then Agnes Tachyon. Unfortunately, with this setup and layout and with the desired sparks that I had, I wanted to get to medium in the back. I wasn't able to bring this dirt aptitude up to something usable for parent runs. Again, this was all before independent training came out, but you can definitely throw your Umas in the dirt races at Dirt E and independent training, still have it work. Will they always get the race? Not really, but if you weren't planning on them getting the race anyway because the aptitudes were so low, any race that they do win under those circumstances is kind of like a little bonus. But yeah, and then what I did down here is, as I made the great-grandparents for these grandparents, what I did was I would fill in the blanks, right? These were all the little like phantom Umas you saw here. Then, you know, as you go down the line, you can kind of fill these out as you complete them. So, you know, let's say I'm running like I'm running this right now, and I get a medium ogre recap, and I have like some great grandparents in the back, like a Pasa and a Pikey shuttle, for example, right? As I go down the line, I fill these out, and then I just keep going until I'm done with all of them. And it's a nice little way to keep track of your great grandparents. You can leave notes for yourself to like see exactly what you used. But you know, this kind of legacy planning, once you get the hang of it, I know the website can be a little daunting at first, but it's super fun. And it really helps you get your head organized for, you know, CM18 or whatever CM you plan to build for. But that's it. I would definitely check out the different parenting guides released by Ray and Lightburb and the other content creators. If you really want to get a handle on what looping is specifically, I don't really want to get into too much detail about it, but again, there's plenty of great guides out there that will teach you. But if you know how to loop, this is a great tool to use to kind of plan out your legacies for all the different parents and grandparents that you do plan to use for any given ace, any given Uma. My name is Buildings. I hope you liked and enjoyed the video. It was a little bit hard to understand. That's my fault. I made this on a whim. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I will catch you in the next one.